Shall we begin? The winter is coming. I can do this all day.
Tear down this wall.
Ikuzo.
Hello and welcome to the Ikuzo Unscripted podcast, everybody. In the previous episode, we talked with Mr. Mario Andretti about cars and racetracks, and now it is time to take off to the sky with founder and CEO of Jetson Aero, Peter Ternström. Mr. Ternström, Ikuzo means let's go. So are you ready to go genuine, uncensored and unscripted with us today?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure having you here. And, you know, men have always dreamed to fly, but so we made us wings of steel. And your team, you, whole Jetson, are going even a step further. And so what is the spark that started your ambition to make everybody a pilot?
Well, before we start, I would like to introduce the co-founder, because we are two founders. It's me, and it's also the co-founder, Tomasz Patan. I'm from Sweden. Tomasz is from Poland. Tomasz has an extreme interest in remote control airplanes. And when the drones came, he started building drones, and he is one of the top 10 in the world right now in building these kind of things. So he is we started the company in 2017. Then we started building, but I wasn't doing much building. I was more, he was doing that, and I was doing everything else. But let's go back to your original question. It's about what inspired me to found a company like this. Well, I have always been very interested, since I was a kid. I was very interested in science fiction. I grew up in the 80s. I'm born in 74, so double your age. When I was 12, I was reading a French science fiction comic, and the number one was something called Valerian, and then also you have Tintin is also one, and so that was my mega interest. So and then also Star Wars, The Return of the Jedi, came out in 1983, I think it was. I was 9 years old, and I had my grandma take me to the movies for 5 consecutive Sundays to see this movie over and over again. It kind of changed me a little bit, because I become extremely interested in flying cars. But then a little bit later, a couple of years later, when I was maybe like, let's say that I'm 15 or something like that, I realized, to my horror, that this will probably not happen in my lifetime, because the technology is never going to be available. And I remember I had a little mental breakdown for a week. I realized that we are not going to have flying cars. But it's funny, I think, with all the science fiction, it doesn't matter what you look at. It can be Star Wars, it can be The Fifth Element, it can be The Blade Runner, it can be Star Trek. There's always flying cars, no matter what, you know. So I was very, very happy that the technology became available for such a thing during the 2000s. The most important thing is the weight of the batteries are now much lighter. Also, there's the flight computers and off-the-shelf stuff that you can buy. A flight computer that actually flies for you, so it balances the aircraft using the changes in RPM of the motors. So you don't need to balance it yourself like a helicopter, which you very much actively fly. When that technology became available, first of all, I have to say how I met Thomas. I met Thomas during a Ferrari event in Poland in 2010. And he had this gigantic thing with him, which was 1.30 meters, and it has propellers in each corner. And I was amazed at what on earth is this thing? I started speaking to him. He's a very nice guy. It's very nice to speak to him. And he said, "Listen, Peter, this is a camera platform. This is before we started using the word drone for this particular thing." And in DJI and those guys, they become, yes, exactly. So DJI and all the Chinese stuff that came, they came in much later, 2014, 15, something like that. But before that, if you wanted to do filming from the sky, you had 2 choices. Rent a guy with a helicopter. That's number one, 4,000 euros per hour. Yeah, or you can, yes, that's right. And then or you can contact a guy like Thomas who can build this fantastic camera platform for you. He had a Canon, a big, sister camera underneath it. And he filmed this Ferrari event. And then he showed me, listen, Peter, come here. So he showed me the footage, and I was like, oh my God, it was so cool because we were driving the cars underneath the camera on a racetrack, and it was unbelievable. And I remember this. And I met Thomas a couple of more times at other events when he was filming. Thomas had been working for Red Bull and was doing some motorboat racing and stuff like that. I met him a couple of more times and became pretty good friends. And then the autumn of 2017, I called Thomas because I have an idea. I said, "Listen, Thomas," and he said, "Yes. What do you want?" He said, "Listen, what if we build a much bigger one of those that you have? Instead of a camera, we can have a payload of 85 kilos." I was thinking of myself, of course. So he thought about it for 2 seconds, and he said, "Hey, that's a pretty good idea, actually. So we just make it bigger." So I said, "Listen, why don't you come down to me here in Italy? I will rent a workshop for us, and we will build this massive thing together, and start a company around it." And he thought it was a great idea, and I'm really happy for it. And that's how Jetson started. So Thomas comes down to me. He doesn't waste any time. This guy, he was down. He drove down. I think it was like 5 days later. He was at my house, getting ready. And I rented a workshop right next to the house, literally right next to the house. A big workshop, 250 square meters, 8 meters high. And in there, Thomas starts building. And I am not an engineer. Okay. In my life, has been about starting companies. So I have started four successful startups. Yes, my first company I started in university when I was 23, which I later sold 18 months later. I sold it. We pioneered something called e-learning, and then I started another company where we're sending mass emails and stuff, and then I started something else. I am a startup guy. Yes. So that's what I've been doing my entire life. I'm not an engineer. Sadly, I'm not an engineer, but I have found Thomas, and he's great. So Thomas is now building this thing in my workshop, in our workshop, and I'm standing over his shoulder and looking, "Hey, can I give you some help?" And he says, "No, no, you can't. But Peter, I need you to go buy a motor for me." So basically, I become the purchasing department when he needs a battery or some tool or something. I drive around him and buy stuff for him, drills and whatever he needs. I remember one day when this thing was ready to start test flying, Thomas says, it took him about 3 months to get something that we could test fly. That's actually pretty fast. It was this big. It didn't look very good. It was aluminium. No, the prototype did not look good at all. It looked like it had built-in aluminium profiles with exposed cables, batteries. You saw everything, and on top of that, there was a seat that I bought from a crashed rally car that we drilled holes in to make it even lighter. And one day, Thomas said when he had test flown this a couple of times, this thing without anything in it, Thomas said to me, "Listen, Peter, now you have to go and find 80 kilos of ballast. We need to put something in the seat to simulate a person flying it, because he's flying it with a remote." So I say, okay, Thomas, yes, sir. And I take my car and I start driving around. And I have to find something that weighs 80 kilos. And also another thing, it can't cost very much. So first I go to the hardware stores and I go to a gym store, to buy, things but they are expensive, to buy things for a gym. They're expensive. But in the end, I find what I need in a shop called Esselunga. Do you know what that is?
No.
It's a grocery store, supermarket.
I know it.
Yeah,
Potato.
potatoes, you got it. I was there, I was going to buy something else. I think it was watermelon or something. And right next to the watermelon with a big bag of potatoes, he said 20 kilos of Polish potatoes also. That was even better. So I buy 4 bags of that and I go back to Thomas. I say, Thomas, this is what I found. Look what I found. I'm so happy that I completed the mission successfully. And Thomas just looks at me. Are you serious? Yeah. But it worked. First, it worked, and it worked beautifully. Yeah. So we took it out, and we started with 20 kilos. We test flew it. Thomas test flew it with the remote, and then we did 40, then 60, then 80. It worked, and this is how we have been working, me and Thomas, on this project. Work pragmatic. Thomas said, this solution I've been doing so many times for the camera platforms. Let's not try to invent something completely new. Let's use things that we know work. In this case, okay, I need 80 kilos. Well, I think it cost very little money. I created the ballast. Now, after we released the beautiful Jetson One, which we did about a year ago, I got contacted by Volvo this March. Volvo in Sweden, they're a big serious car company. Yeah. And they said, hey, we like what you are doing. We like that you are from Sweden. So we would like to donate to you a real crash test dummy. Do you know how much a real crash test dummy costs? A real one, which is realistic in weight. So I want you to take a deep breath. 135,000 euros it cost with the sensor kit inside. Okay, we didn't get the 10 sensors, but they are very expensive. And it's because of the sensor kit. But we got one. His name is Nils, because there was a very famous person named Nils in Volvo. He was working there in the 1950s. He invented something very important. What?
Tell me.
There's 3-point seatbelt he invented, yes, because his friend died in a car accident. And then Volvo decided to donate the patent to everyone. So that's why all the car companies now, they are using a 3-point seatbelt. And that is because Volvo gave it to all the car companies to make it a little bit safer.
Thank you for teaching me that.
Yes, that's all I know. No, I don't know anything else. So anyway, so if now this, so on the 28th of February, 2018 it's the big day, okay? So this time for the first manned flight, we have been flying potatoes for a month. There's potatoes everywhere, trust me. Yeah, on this field. In the morning, we go out in the field and we flip a coin. This is the happiest day of my life because Thomas got the honor to do the first manned flight. Yes, so he did the first manned flight, and he did 2 flights that day. They were about 20 seconds each, and this is an insane achievement for 2 guys in a garage. Okay, to build an aircraft out of nothing. Okay, of course it's Thomas. He's the inventor. He is the builder. But I am so extremely happy and proud over that achievement. What he did. Then after that moment, we realized that this is wasn't not only a fun challenge, but I bet you that I told Thomas, I bet that we can sell this. I bet a lot of guys all over the world would like to have what we have here. And he says, yes, I says, yes, I think so too. So then we decided from that prototype, which was quite, I would say it's not a beautiful thing. Thomas starts to develop the Jetson One. And that's the one you have seen on YouTube. That is the one that have shocked the world about how unbelievably cool it is. Okay? The
That's
one with the black frame. Yeah, oh God, you have to. So we decide to go silent. We don't tell anyone anything. And Thomas builds this beautiful machine now. He makes a beautiful design. We know the concept works. We know the drivetrain works. We know it works. Now we just make a much more cooler one. So in with aluminum frame, welded in fiber seat, carbon fiber guards, carbon fiber arms. We have, and it took us about 3.5 years to get from that point until a very important day in the history of Jetson. That is the 21st of October, 2021. When we at 7 o'clock at night, we do a small event for a big group of my friends in Stockholm, the Ferrari Club and the Lamborghini Club of Stockholm. We invite them to an event venue, which we have. There's a big garage and at the same time, we do a press release. San Sunner, we had hired her as a press officer before. She does a beautiful press campaign where she sends out to the most important media in the world that there's now a flying car on the market that you can buy. At the same time, we released a YouTube movie. That YouTube movie, I think in total, all our movies on YouTube, I think we have like 6 or 7 maybe. We now have 42 million views or something like that. They're extremely popular. So that movie that we released together with the press release, it becomes extremely viral. So I talked to Thomas. I said the day before, I said, listen, Thomas, I think that we should be very lucky if we sell 20. Thomas says, yeah, that would be really cool if we can sell 20. Yeah, hey, we sold 20 units the first 24 hours after that. Okay. Yes, I had one email every 5 minutes wanting to buy a Jetson, day and night. This goes on from 21st of October to like mid-March, when it kind of slows down a little bit. I have one email every 2 hours from an institution or a rich person that wants to buy the entire company. Oh. And this starts immediately after the 21st of October. So then me and Thomas, we realized that, hey, we might have been on to something much bigger than we thought, you know? Yes, we were in the beginning, we just was a challenge, you know, let's see if we can build something that can fly. And in the end, it became it became a business adventure also, you know. So from the 21st of October till today, we have sold 488 Jetson Ones. Yes, that is a serious amount of orders, okay? Also, during the spring, we have raised about $10 million in investment capital. So we have our first a so-called seed round. A seed round, according to our senior advisor, Richard Steiber, which was one of our first recruitments that we did, a seed round is usually $1 or $2 million. Okay, they started that. Now we have 10, almost 10 instead. So, and the list of investors that are interested in investing is very long. So we actually had the great pleasure in order to get people on board that we really like. Also. So that has happened. Also, we are hiring like crazy. Our first recruit was San Sunner, our PR officer. We recruited her a year ago. She helped us with the campaign. That was so incredibly successful. Then we have Richard Steiber, who is a Swedish tech icon. He was the marketing manager for Google in San Francisco for a couple of years, and now he's like this business angel. And we talked to him, he came on board in January. In March, he said to me, listen, Peter, this is so much fun. I am going to leave almost all my other projects if I can join you more. I said, you're more than welcome, Richard. He's extremely fun guy to work with, but he liked the project. And that's good. Also, we recruited a bunch of specialists in composites and specialists in mechanical engineering, specialists in CAD SolidWorks, building things on screen. Also, we have some high-level people that we hired from Koenigsegg, which is a Swedish hypercar company. Oh, we know. A guy named Alec Bialek. Yes, he was the boss of the Regera project, their electric super hypercar. Is there anyone better that you can recruit to the Jetson project? And that I'm not sure. I don't think so. And we have a bunch of other people coming in. Before Christmas, I think we will be 20. We're 12 right now. We'll be 20. The prognosis for next year is that by the end of 2023, we're going to be like between 50 to 60. Also, we have done something really cool. Besides all this, we've done something else that we really want to tell you. We have been looking for a place, a headquarters somewhere. And I don't want to do it in Sweden. Thomas absolutely does not want to do it in Sweden because of weather. But we were looking at Croatia, but Croatia is a very expensive place to be in, but part of the European Union. But in the end, we found an airport south of Florence in Tuscany, 800 meters grass strip together with an industrial estate right next to the grass strip, which is 1,250 square meters, which we are currently very, very aggressively converting into research and development headquarters with offices, a small production line, carbon fiber studio with a big oven. It looks like a big submarine, but you put in stuff in there, and when it comes out, it's really hard. That's it to me. Yes. So it's vacuum and high temperature, and then it becomes they kind of make the carbon fiber become extremely strong and hard. So that's where we at today. This the short version of what I have been busy with the last 4.5 years. There is also this one thing. I'm going to let you in a secret. The real reason why it took 3.5 years to go from the prototype, which took 3 months to build, to the beautiful Jetson One is because the key innovation in the Jetson One is not that we have made a big drone, a little bit bigger. I think everyone that has seen a small drone and hold it in his hand is probably fantasizing about why don't they just make them bigger? But the key innovation in the Jetson is the flight computer, because we have been flying the Jetson almost every day, and almost every day we have ideas how to make it behave better and better and better. Yes. So every time we fly, we land, and then we have a new idea for a new function, or it is new parameters to make it behave better for you. One thing, for instance, we have a system now that has a LiDAR system that looks down. It's mounted in the nose of the Jetson. It looks down, and it allows the closer you are to the ground, the less feet per second descent rate it allows. You understand what this thing can do now? It means that even if you put the throttle to 0, it is always going to make a perfect landing. And this is something that you can only find out about these things and invent them if you fly it a lot, because this is very iterative. If you fly every day, you're going to have ideas how to make it better. So right now we tell people jokingly that it takes 5 minutes to learn to fly the Jetson, but in reality it takes 4 minutes just to get in, and then it takes 1 minute for me to just explain how the controls work, and off you go, and that's it. And that is because we invested 3.5 years in making that flight computer perfect. That's the real innovation.
Oh yeah, so everyone can be a pilot, like you said.
Yes, exactly. Everyone can be a pilot, and that is a tagline to all the FAA or the European Flight Authority. To everyone's horror, we have said that because and I'm not sure if that is that they like it, they understand it, but they are not really ready for the revolution that's coming. I can tell you that much. Because it is a revolution coming right now. We are on a beginning of a very, 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 very important revolution in the history of human. In 1886, a man called Daimler, it was his last name, Daimler, he built a piston motor. I think it was 2-cylinder. And the cool thing was that instead of using steam, you could buy alcohol in the pharmacy, and it will run on this alcohol. And so he built a working motor. And then he said, okay, what the hell am I going to do with this now? So he took his horse carriage, and he removed the horse, and he put the motor on the front, and he put a chain to the rear wheel wheels. And then he told his daughter, and what was his daughter? He told his daughter to go drive it, and she did, and she was the first driver. It was good. And I think if the story is correct, her name was Mercedes. No, but that was Benz. I'm sorry, I'm talking about. No, this is Daimler. I might have the story wrong. Okay, so if any listeners know the right story, please don't kill me or send angry emails to me. But the story is like this: so they build the first practical working car, and they drive around with it. To everyone's horror around, because the farmers around, they thought they were scaring horses and stuff like that. But but that became the first actually working car that was built by him. Then you have a guy called Carl Benz. He built a car, but that was a little bit later, I think. Then it took from 1986 to 1905 before the cars were something that was widely used. But then the car became ubiquitous. It became a revolution, especially in the United States. In Europe, the car revolution was a little bit later, but in Ford, and he invented the assembly line, so you can build cars cheaper and faster than anyone else. And it became a revolution, a revolution. Everyone wanted the car. It was incredible, And the same thing is going to happen now. History always repeats itself. We are in the revolution of the flying car. Me and Thomas, I wouldn't say that we are, I'm not pretentious enough to tell you that I am Carl Benz or Daimler to Daimler. But we are the guys who built the first commercially available flying car that you can actually buy, Yes, just and simple enough to make in large numbers if you want, which we are going to do. But there is also a big plan, a big master plan ahead. We are not just going to build this Jetson One and then say, okay, thank you very much and bye-bye. But we have a big plan ahead. That is not a secret. We are telling everyone about this plan at every occasion. So think about this. Now we have the Jetson One. It's selling like crazy. We think we're going to build like 10,000 of them, something like that, during the next 10 years. 1,000 a year. Mm-hmm. As soon as people are going to get this one delivered to them in the big box and start flying them, people are going to buy it even more. Our next thing is something that we call the Jetson Duo. It's called Duo because...
2 persons.
Yeah, bravo. Exactly. We're going to build a 2-seater for the sky, but this time it's going to be a much more advanced design than maybe a carbon fiber monocoque with galloing doors. We don't know yet. But it's going to be released 2026, and it's going to be a beautiful flying car for 2 people, 1 hour and 15 minutes flight time. It's going to be a Lamborghini Huracan or a Ferrari 488 GTB for the sky. Yes. And with the money that we make from selling all that's a cool project. Everyone in the world is going to want it. Trust me. It's going to be the coolest thing ever to fly to the golf course with, or to fly. Yeah. Jetson One is more for fun. It's like a jet ski. You don't go to work in a jet ski unless you live in Florida, because they actually do. But in Europe, usually you don't. You go to a lake, you drive around, and you have fun. And that is the idea with the Jetson One also. It's therefore let you have fun, to take flight. It does that very, very well, but it's not practical. Jetson 2 is practical. You can use it for a purpose. Yes. And then with the money, the next step is that 5 years later, we do something called the Jetson 4. And what does that mean? What is so special about 4 people? You got it. We wanted first to call it Jetson Quattro, but then some people from Ingolstadt, Audi, reminded us that it's one of the most protected trademarks in the world. We said, okay, let's call it 4 instead. so that's the Jetson 4.
No worth arguing over.
Oh, I'm like, okay, I give up. Let's call it 4. Yes, that's the 4. It's the 4-seater. I think that the Jetson 2 is going to cost like €500,000, maybe something like that. It's going to be the price of a very, very, very nice Ferrari. Okay, and it's aimed at exactly the same target group. So those guys who have a Ferrari or an expensive Porsche or a Lamborghini or something like that, they're going to also want this. Then we have the Jetson 4, is a completely different animal, because that is targeted at a normal family. This is the idea. A family that has 2 cars, with the Jetson 4, they can get rid of 1 car and get 1 flying car, because the Jetson 4 is going to have places for 4 for seats for four, and it's going to be the price of an expensive SUV, so about $100,000. Okay, and now it's getting interesting because then this thing is going to be very, very common, and a lot of people are going to buy it, and then in 10 years from now, that will we fulfill our promise of making everyone a pilot. That happens then. This is the big plan, but we start with the Jetson One.
Yeah, so we were basically lucky that you and Thomas met and revived this dream of having flying cars of all us sci-fi guys on the sky. So is it possible to one day look at the sky and see people flying in Jetsons or similar vehicles non-stop?
I think so. I absolutely think so, and I think the future is very, very nice. It's very good. It's a very positive future that we have ahead, because the implications for this, if you live in a big city, is that some of the dirty traffic from street level with wheels is going to be moved up in the sky, and that means that you're going to have less congestion, less exhaust fumes, less pollution. And you're going to be able to reclaim the city a little bit, so you get more green areas and everything. This is the wet dream of the environmentalist, and also it's going to save so much. Yes, it is. It's the wet dream of the environmentalist, because then they can have much more green areas. Environmentalists. Is there anything that they hate more than cars? No, they hate it, and they're right, because the cars, it takes space. In London, when you take a taxi and you're going just a couple of blocks away, it can take anywhere between 5 minutes and 5 hours. You never know. No, if you have bad luck, you're not going away. You're just sitting there in the car. And if you have to cross rivers a couple of times, think Amsterdam, for instance. There's rivers and bridges everywhere. Then it's enough that it gets congested by one bridge, and then you're stuck. But with Jetsons or Jetson-like technology like this, then you go direct, you go straight wherever you want. It's going to be a much better experience to live in a big city. Much better experience. You're going to get wherever you want quickly, and it doesn't matter. You don't. And also from a mayor or government perspective, it's amazing, because the investment cost is close to zero. Look above you. How much air do you have? That's all you need. You don't need to build bridges. You don't need to build highways. And most importantly, the most expensive thing that you can build is tunnels. You don't need them anymore, because you have all you need above your head. That is airspace. Which also, there's going to be special ports, like if you live in a skyscraper, you can just extend your terrace. You can have your flying car there. How cool is that? No?
I like
awesome.
the skyscraper. And
yeah, the skyscrapers, and then everyone has a terrace with a flying car, or they have a terrace on top of the house. And if you have there's going to be they call them vertiports, but it's going to be like special parking areas for these kind of vehicles are going to be everywhere, and there is always going to be traffic in the sky, and I just can't wait for it, because I'm so excited. I just want this to happen, and I'm so happy that I can be a part of this. I can be a part of this revolution, and fulfill one of the human race's largest dreams. To fly. It's a fantastic experience, and the cool thing is that that. Once you go in the Jetson One then you're hooked. You need to go again, because it's so much fun. It's incredible.
So you spoke about having all those personal parking lots on skyscrapers, sky full of Jetsons, but the current legislative, especially in European Union, is very strict. So how are you going to overcome that problem? Will there be driver licenses for driving Jetson or flying Jetson? Will there be registration like with cars? So what about that?
How are the regulations on these things? Because like you said, you are before time. So how are they, like Swedish government? I don't know how are they, dealing with this.
Are you adjusting to them, or are they adjusting to you?
Listen, guys, those are very good questions. Let me start with this. In the United States, everything that weighs less than 125 kilos is considered an ultralight, and for that you don't need a pilot's license. 80% of our customers are from the United States. The Jetson weighs 86 kilos. So in the United States, the Jetson One is perfectly legal to fly immediately. You don't need a pilot's license. When it comes to Europe, the legislation is a little bit unclear, I can say. And we are working together with the Swedish Ministry of Transport in order to make it legal to fly. And my gut feeling says that, or the way I think it's going to be like this, that this is going to be classified as a completely new type of aircraft, because that is the problem with Europe. In Europe, they have classified different type of aircraft. Okay, what is the Jetson? Well, it's not a fixed-wing airplane. It's not a helicopter. It's not a drone. Okay, it's not a parachute. So what the hell is this? So that is the first question that needs to be answered, because it is a pilot's license is something that you connect to the type of aircraft it is. You know. Yes, yes. So what I think the way it's going to be right now, the wheels that are slow are moving, both in Sweden and also on European level, because Jetson is definitely not alone in bringing these kind of products to market. We just happen to be first. It took 14 years between the first drive with Gottlieb Daimler's car, before the first driving license was issued in Germany. And basically it was a letter from the Count of Stuttgart that told them that show this to anyone that tells you that you can't drive. This kind of thing. It was a letter. Yep. That's the first driving license. So what I think is going to happen is that if you look at like a private pilot's license, I have a private pilot's license. There's a lot of things that you learn flying a helicopter or an airplane, which simply does not apply to a Jetson-like thing. For instance, gliding through the air with the engine off. For instance, different types of emergency procedures, like auto rotation in a helicopter. I mean, none of that applies to Jetson. And also, since the Jetson has a computer that actively flies for you, I'm not sure you need 45 hours flying it to get a pilot's license. I think it's going to be different. I think what we are looking at in a couple of years, there is going to be a kind of a simplified pilot's license, and I think it's going to be the manufacturer of the thing, like Jetson or some other producer. They are going to have their own training course with future pilots, so they are going to license the pilot. And it's going to be the responsibility of the manufacturer to make it safe and make the pilot ready to fly. That's, I think, a good solution forward. It means also that that every manufacturer has to build in as much safety as possible. It also has to have a good training course. So before we give a Jetson One to any of our clients or buyers, even in the United States, we want to invite them to Italy so we can meet them for one day, and we're going to talk about basics. If they don't have a pilot's license, we have to teach them basics, like, for instance, navigation. So because they are not allowed to fly close to an airport. They're not allowed to fly in densely populated areas. So we will take a look at an air chart where they are, and we'll tell them, okay, you can fly here and here and here. In the end, when there's an accident or when people do bad things with the Jetsons, it's going to be our problem. And we need to make sure that the people that buy the Jetson, that they are fit. They are fit to fly, and they understand the regulations, and they understand, don't fly close to this airport, please. You can fly here. This is a park. Go here and fly. Oh, you have a vineyard. Oh, go fly there. Good. But don't fly to Paris around the Eiffel Tower. That's bad, There's going to be things like that, I think. Yes, don't fly. Yes. Don't fly over the American embassy in Podgorica, because they'll shoot you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest embassy compound I've ever seen in my life. That's such an intimidating building.
Yeah.
You know, isn't it? It's like, oh. I heard that in Balkans, especially Montenegro, The reason there is so little McDonald's and KFC and American fast food is because there is this resent against the US. That's why they have problems.
Well,
Is there a McDonald's?
There
in Montenegro?
was McDonald's in Montenegro, but it worked for very little time because it didn't have much customers, you know.
yeah, but it's not that. The McDonald's thing is kind of weird because, somebody said that our government restricted it. But they say they weren't interested. But Hard Rock Cafe, for example, franchise was bought and came in here, so it's nobody knows basically.
But basically, when we were students and in the high school, when we were on these trips outside of Montenegro, everybody wanted to go to the McDonald's first.
Yes, because nobody has went, more in their life. So we go to the foreign country and Montenegrins are McDonald's, KFC, Burger King.
Not national cuisines. And you mentioned that U.S. embassy in Podgorica, that was actually a funny case of them near that embassy, because one of our fellow countrymen tried to throw a bomb into the embassy. But that fence of the embassy, which is very big, and the bomb dropped. He couldn't throw it over the fence, so bomb dropped near him and killed him. So that's probably the stupidest way to die.
Yes.
Yeah. Charles Darwin sends his regards from the grave. Yes.
Yeah. That's basically. But you're right about the embassy looking very intimidating. So when people go in to get the visa, they shoot themselves.
Yeah.
And you are passionate about cars, especially sports cars. So what's the difference between sitting in Ferrari for you for the first time and in Jetson? Have you? I believe you drove Jetson.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know. I mean, the excitement is the same, I think. You're very excited. They're driving a fast supercar, if ever a Ferrari or Lamborghini. It's very exciting on a good road. One of my favorite roads in the world is between Budva and Podgorica. AM 2.3. It's amazing. It's beautiful. Me and my friends, we go there every May. In the spring, we go there and we drive. Always start near Rijeka, and then we drive the Magistral all the way down. It's just fantastic experience. Yeah, but I think excitement is the same. Excitement is the same, and it's also another thing that you have to understand that a very important part of the product promise of a supercar, like a Ferrari or Lamborghini, is to have the driver put all attention on him when he arrives somewhere. So when he arrives at a nightclub or a restaurant or whatever, the car makes sure that all activity stops in the restaurant. And if there's a queue outside the nightclub, people understand, okay, here comes the guy, And a supercar does that very well. And that is a very major reason why people buy a green Lamborghini, for instance. They want to be seen and heard, and they want respect when they arrive to the nightclub. The Jetson is awesome, even better at this than the green Lamborghini. I mean, when we arrive sometimes, and we land sometimes someplace, the spectacle it's incredible. It's like we were from outer space. And they expect them, when Thomas removes his helmet, it's a green lizard flying. So they're in shock. Oh my God, it's actually a human being, Yeah. So, it does that very well also, so to say, man. And that is the reason I've been working with supercars in the supercar industry for 20 years. That's one of the things that I've been doing with my life. We're doing a lot of events for customers of Lamborghini and Ferrari. So the customer and the product promise is very similar between a supercar and the Jetson. And that's why we are working with the Jetson, and we are adopting a lot of techniques from sales techniques and all that stuff. We are looking more at doing it the way Ferrari sells supercars than the way Cessna sells small airplanes. Understand what I'm saying? So we're going to have full of different types of options. You want to have a seat in orange? No problem. You know, we're going to have, do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want to have this in see-through carbon? We can do that. And we're going to also work with that. A big difference between Jetson and other eVTOL companies is that the other eVTOL companies, they are looking at the problem from an aerospace perspective. Excuse me. They're looking at the problem. They're looking at the product as a very, very advanced airplane that they are making available for everyone to fly. A little bit, you understand? It goes, yes. Whereas we are looking at it from the completely different perspective. We say, okay, this is a car that now can fly. So let's just make it able to fly and make it easy to fly. Don't try to invent so much new stuff. Use stuff that we have used for 10 years, or Thomas has used for 10 years, and we know that works. Pragmatic approach. I can tell you a little bit about the market, how the market works, and about a quick brief intro in the eVTOL space. Last time I looked, there is about 220 companies that say that they are building a flying car in the world. 220. Yes, and of those, 205 have a beautiful PowerPoint presentation, a website, and an uncle that has given them $1 million. They are building a flying car, yes, but they have a render of it, okay? And they have a rich uncle who gave them a little bit of money, and now they are building flying cars in their head, but they're actually not doing it. But they have a beautiful picture. And yes, of the 15 companies that are left, these companies are companies like Boeing, Airbus. They have Joby, Archer. So the big players, okay? And this one I really like, me and Thomas really like it, something called a black opener black fly. It's really, really beautiful and really smart, really smart eVTOL system that we have the deepest respect for. We like that guy. And we have Jetson in the end, okay? And so we are the ones that have gone way beyond PowerPoint. We actually had a flying device before I even did the first investment PowerPoint, because we didn't think about that. We used our own money to found the company in the first years. So that's not a big problem. So we started from actually building something to see if we could do it. We accepted the challenge to build it, whereas other companies started with making getting money or funding. Also, the business model from Jetson is that we want to sell Jetson. Yes, we've already started selling, and we're getting money from clients. You know, they're paying a little deposit for the Jetson, and we are also, you know, using our own money to fund it. And now we have a little bit of investor money also. A lot of other companies, the big ones, they are maybe, sometimes it feels that they are not really interested in delivering anything. What they are doing is that they are pushing press releases, and they are doing this and this and that. They have hundreds of engineers on the roster that they are paying, the gigantic cost. So what they are interested in is just getting new investor money. That is a weird, kind of strange, but that is like something. I think that some of these companies probably have this as the business model, just getting more money. And then they have created this machine that has promised a flying car in the future, but they have hundreds of engineers trying to solve insane aerospace problems and just burning a lot of money. But that's what makes Jetson a little bit different. More pragmatic approach. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get you. But it's interesting. I like what you said before also, when you said Jetson is, when you spoke about Jetson 2 also and Jetson 1 differences, you said this is for fun. This is not, like I saw some people on YouTube videos of Jetson saying, oh, it's not practical, but it's not meant to be. It's meant to be fun, like you said. It's not meant to, you know, start everyone tomorrow to drive the Jetson. For now, it's just, you know, a fun vehicle to have. But I also wanted to ask you. I saw the YouTube videos and testing, but what is the sound like? Because I can't like what how powerful is the sound from the Jetson? Would I hear it from the sky? Like if I was strolling down the city, would the noise be too hard or something like that?
No, it's not. It makes, first of all, it makes a beautiful sound. It's like a turbine helicopter sound. Okay, so and also you have it's almost like a harmonic, but not like a harmonica. So it's a harmonic sound. It's like yeah. So and also it's not that loud. Yeah. So if when you're 50 or 80 meters away, you don't hear it anymore. You know. Yes, you don't. But then as soon as you come closer, it makes a nice sound. You know. Yeah. I like it.
That's
I have little preposition when you get to the 10th version of Jetson X. Make it look like X-wing. That would be great, like from the Star Wars. These are.
That would be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
How would we fly it? We need to put some materials on it.
As engineers, as engineers.
You know what? I'll talk to Thomas.
Yeah.
Better. Just talk to him. Yeah.
We are the guys with the ideas, and those are the people that make it. Actually,
Yeah.
This is really fun talk, to be honest. And for the end, because we have this little tradition when we say a quote or verse or something on Montenegrin language and translate it to English. And there's a book called Golden Fleece by Borislav Pekic, who is born in Podgorica. And it goes like, ja želim da radim nešto sasvim drugačije, neko što niko nikad nije radio. Kao Ikar, da letiš prvi, da, ali Ikar je umro, Isidore, da, ali je letio prije toga. And on English it would be, I want to do something completely different, as no one has ever done before. Like Icarus, to fly first, yes, but Icarus died, Isidore, but he flew before that, didn't he? So that's I mean, powerful, because it's not the story of Icarus, for example. It's not the story of that. It's story of human breaking through his limits, flying, and practically changing the view of the world we had. And that's, like you said, the Jetson, the revolution. The cars are gonna fly, and hopefully no one will die, of course. Yeah, but if we don't fly,
you just have to be careful not to fly close to the sun. I think that's the best. That is the story. Don't get too cocky. Don't do too crazy things with that aircraft. I think. Hey guys, thank you very much for having me on your show. It was a lot of fun. To spend this hour with you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.